Free Range. Tanaath is a commander, founder, and incarnate member of the Silver Legion. The Silver Legion is an extra-dimensional army of light warriors fighting for the sovereignty of Earth. Tanaath spent many lives incarnated as a human on Earth and wished to become involved in the ascension process. She discovered that humanity on Earth was not free, that the people of Earth were unknowingly being dominated by non-human forces that were manipulating human society for their own purposes. She was by no means the only person aware of this situation. Humanity's allies are many. Here's your host, Gail of Gaia, with her guest, Tanaath.
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, whatever time it is, wherever you are. This is Gail of Gaia, and this is Free Range. And I am delighted today to have with me Tanaath, who of the Silver Legion, who has been a very popular guest the last time we had her on. So I had to get her back on. Many people asked to have you back on, Tanaath, and so that's what we're doing. And she always has a very interesting perspective on many things. I'd like to welcome our listeners and audience, and I'd also like to thank those who have donated to my channel. Every little bit helps, and I am very grateful. Thank you so much. Okay, Tanaath, hello.
Hi, Gail. It's so glad to be back. It's nice to be here again. I have gotten a picture there. It's probably coming up. The critter in that picture is called a nudibranch. It is a mollusk that eats jellyfish stings and then uses them, repurpose them. Very pretty. This one in particular is called a blue dragon, and I think they're from Australia. But yeah, you're not ever going to see me on webcam. I don't have one of those, and I still want to keep a job, so.
I understand perfectly, and that's not a problem anyway, because it's the information that's the most important that you put out. So that's where we're coming from. So is there anything in particular that you can tell us that you're aware of, anything new, anything different, any kind of update from a galactic or geopolitical standpoint?
Well, I have to be careful what I say because there's a lot of stuff that's operational. But
Okay.
If you've been feeling for the last couple of weeks that like something's going on and that stuff is moving quickly, that's because it is. We've been, yeah, and it hasn't just been my team. There's been a whole bunch of different people all sort of working parallel and independently doing the same kind of stuff. We're starting to see cleanup in the local neighborhood, which is extremely positive because for a long time it's been a bit stuffed and stuck.
Kicking butt and taking names.
Yes, and let me just say that in terms of the Silver Legion and where we are right now, we have started to release letters using certain forms of distribution, letters of warning, basically to those who need to start paying attention that the gloves are off, the sword is out, and the game is on, and we aren't going to stop for anything. How this will filter into our own lives here, I don't know, but let me tell you that people are taking note in those groups and societies, and just a second here. Oh, you'll have to pardon me. Sorry, I get
That's
scam
okay.
calls all
That's
the
okay.
time.
That's okay.
But I'm also expecting calls out of the blue, so yeah. Pardon that interruption. Where was I?
You were just telling them about sending out letters, and people are taking notes.
Yeah, we have been distributing.
Attention.
Yeah, we have been distributing official documentations presenting warning and official notice that basically time's up and expect us. So things are moving, and once again, I don't know when or what or how it'll look down here for us, but things will be changing, and hopefully quick.
It seems like things are moving pretty quickly right now. I mean, disclosure is getting out there pretty quick. And whether people are paying attention, I think our biggest problem is the media.
Yeah, and until the media gets cracked, the rest of the world is the public world is going to pretend nothing's happening.
Yeah, that's what concerns me. Do you know, are they heading in that direction? Are they going to take down the media or revamp it or correct its lies?
So I've been dealing more with the secret society,
Okay.
metaphysical type stuff. I don't know how it's going to shake down with the media and other more terrestrial day-to-day type stuff. But I would expect at some point, from all the work that's going on, there will be fallout and there will be change. What that's going to look like and when that's going to happen, no one can tell. Everything is in the air. Anybody who tells you they know the future is fucking lying. Pardon my language.
That's okay.
Nobody knows the future right now, even us. We're in the middle, not of trying to predict the future, but trying to create it.
Fantastic. We need a new creation of a new Earth, and that doesn't necessarily mean that we leave this Earth. But there's a lot of cleanup here, from pollution to bad behavior to bad people to bad things, and so that's definitely very encouraging and the kind of thing that I think people like to say are here. I mean, do you have any information? I have had a couple of people who asked me questions about about this quantum wave. Is it actually happening already? Or
oh yeah, we're in it.
Okay.
We are in the collapse right now.
Awesome.
So, and I got it wrong. Quantum uncertainty is that you can either know the position or the direction of travel. You can't know either, or you can't know both. So when you're trying to predict where an electron is going to be, you can predict which direction it's traveling or where it is right now, but you can't do both.
Ah, okay.
Electrons are quantum. So I'll clear that up because I prefer to be accurate about stuff like that. But the same thing here with the quantum collapse. We're in it. And now that we're in it, we can see where we are, but we can't necessarily predict the direction of travel or where we're going to be or what the position is going to be any length of time from now. And it's chaotic. I mean, if you roll around on the online communities that look at anything new age, anything spiritual, anything occult, anything alien related, everybody says that they can feel something's going up. Everybody feels it coming.
Yes,
Nobody
yes,
knows what
yes,
it is.
yes. Yes, everybody says, I think something really big is coming. And
yeah,
everybody's
sitting. Yeah. Everyone's sitting on their duff waiting for the event. Well, you know what? Get off your duff and be the event.
Yeah. Well, people wonder, what can I do? What can you tell them that they could do?
This is a hard one because people are looking for concrete instructions like, go do this or go do that. Nobody can do that for you. The only one who can tell you what to do is you. And I tell people, this is fractal. It doesn't matter even if it seems small and insignificant. Even if you think, well, this isn't important, how possibly important could I be, or how possibly important could this be? Nothing is too small, nothing is too big. Figure out what calls to you, figure out what pulls on you, and go for it. Laser focus, get your eyes on that point and just go. Even if it seems unimportant, even if it doesn't seem like it connects to the whole picture, it's fractal, it connects. You matter, you're important, your contribution is as mighty as anything that I might do or Drake might do or anyone else.
That's awesome. You guys are just out there, kind of leading the way and trying to motivate people to do their part. And I found that what I get back from that is, well, what is my part? I don't know what to do, but like you said, that just honing in on something in your life that is not right, make it right.
Yeah, and you know what? Even if it seems small and insignificant, it's not. Even so much as just teaching somebody else to cook or starting a garden or maybe going and volunteering at the library to read to kids, even if it doesn't seem like a big earth-shattering thing, those things, they add up.
Yeah, and it's, you know, it's a form of service to others.
It is. And
And
one thing, that I start to recommend to people who are feeling lost and confused and don't know who they are and what they are in this is I say, pull out a piece of paper and a pen or a pencil and sit there and write your fantasy self. What would you be if you could be anything? What would you do if you could do anything? Even if it's like, oh, that doesn't exist. Trust me, it exists somewhere.
mhm. Yes,
Author yourself.
yes. You know, and here's another one that people have problems with, and maybe you can help bring some clarity to it. Many people say, go into your heart and um, think about what, you know, think about yourself and what you're thinking and what your thoughts are versus what some other thoughts may be or what have you. Do you have any way of direction for that about
Well,
going into
yeah,
your heart?
I'd say that whole energetic zone from about your heart to your belly button is your access point. I call it the core, and in
Mhm.
Chinese it's referred to the danqing.
Ah, okay.
I'm probably butchering the pronunciation.
I do that
Forgive
with a
me.
lot of words.
Yeah, well, my partner's Chinese, and she despairs of me ever getting the pronunciation right, because after a certain age, if you haven't heard the sounds, you just can't, right? You can't hear them and you can't reproduce them. The brain eliminates those possibilities, and it's kind of annoying. I took some linguistics.
Oh, that's how it works.
Yeah, but what I do is I go in through my danqing and I connect to everything from there, because I recognize that I am a fractal, and that I am in being a fractal, I am a little pattern of something that is a great big pattern, and that my self same similarity with it, I can access everything by accessing that point within me. And basically it's just concentrating on that at that point and going in and just envisioning that massive set of interlocking, immensely complex, incredibly beautiful patterns.
What about, and people try to shut off their mind, correct?
Yeah, if it works for you, it works for you. Some people are all mind, some people are all heart. I find that it helps to be a balance of both.
Yeah, I would think so.
Balance
Yeah,
in all things, right? Perfectly
right.
balanced as all things should be. If you're going to be a living weapon, you better be balanced.
Okay, that makes sense. That's very true, actually. Um, I was wondering, could you tell us about there's two organizations that are out there that are, you know, considered galactic, and one of them is the Galactic Federation or the Confederation of Planets, and the other one is the Galactic Federation of Light. Now, I've heard some negative things about them, and I wonder if you have any information on that.
Well, I don't have particulars. I
Mhm.
will say, though, that the Galactic Federation of Light
Mhm.
is the Galactic Confederation of Planets. And there's another
Oh,
group that calls themselves the Galactic Federation of Planets, no con. Um,
hmm.
and honestly, I'm not too thrilled with either of them. We worked with the Galactic Federation of Planets when we first started becoming involved in the Earth mess.
Hmm.
But after a while, we found that we weren't quite liking all the directions they were going. That they were a little more benevolent, but they had their plans too that we didn't quite agree with, right?
Okay.
All the locals seem to do. But I will say, if you've got two people, one who's saying, we're Group A and we're not Group B, and one who's saying we're Group B, oh yeah, Group A is us too. The one who's saying they're not Group A or not Group B is probably correct. I know the Galactic Federation of Light was trying to pass itself off as also the Galactic Federation of Planets. It seems there's some sort
Hmm.
of exopolitical mess going on there. Who knows? I don't have all the detail. All I know is, as far as I'm concerned, it's I'll put them all up against the wall if they don't start getting in harness.
Okay, that's good. Everybody needs to have an accounting, right?
Oh yeah.
All right. Well, I had heard some, you know, different things, and I wasn't really clear which one was which or were they for our benefit or humanity's benefit?
I will say this one, the Galactic Federation of Light is overtly hostile to humanity and presenting themselves as friendly. They're the ones who send all these channeled transmission to people, are constantly encouraging people to just sort of sit and wait for the space brethren to come save their butts, who are insisting that it's all won already, nobody needs to do anything, just wait for the glorious light workers to get it done. And yeah, I don't like anything that encourages people to sit on their butts and wait. If you want to sit on your butt and wait, that's your business. If you're tired of sitting on your butt and wait, the only one who can do anything about it is you. Stop waiting.
I saw that one coming.
Yeah.
That's good. It's just like some people too, I just feel like they expect Trump to do everything, you know.
He's just one man.
Sure,
he appears to have the backing of the white hats, but he's just one man. Don't put it all on him. You stand up and do something too. And, you know, do it smartly. You're not going to get anywhere by running around and, you know, dressed in black, burning, looting, and rioting and causing problems. You're not going to get anywhere picking up guns and going after the people doing that either. You know, be smart about this. Find your way to contribute, but make sure it's actually a contribution and not something that's going to sink us.
Yeah, revenge is not a good thing.
No. And yeah, I know there's piles of trauma and anguish and pain in this world, but you don't fix it by lighting more fires.
Thank you. Yeah. Yeah. And it's like, you know, it's one thing to have your, to be for self-defense. It's another to go hunting down people, because all that does is that's the same, you're doing the same as what they're doing, only differently.
Exactly. You're falling into the cabal trap. That's exactly what they want out of us. They want all these frustrated, angry, impatient people to pick up arms and start powder keg off. They will do everything to provoke that. I am worried about what might happen in November, because quite frankly, while I trust the white hats and I trust the good people, I don't trust a lot of really frustrated, angry, tired patriots who may not understand that that is a death trap. Don't do it. Resist, but be smart about it. Don't give the cabal anything they can use against us.
Yeah, because that's just what they're looking for, and they know how to trigger us so easily.
They do.
People have, this is where going inside actually can make a difference. When you go into your heart and you start thinking about some things that, oh, did I overreact? I mean, why did that trigger me like that?
Yeah.
Why did I get so mad?
Start watching your buttons and start defusing your triggers, because man, this is going to be a nasty, nasty ride. And you know, everybody wants people like us to swoop in and make it all better. We can't. It can only come from humanity. It can only come from within. It has to come from the people down here, and it will get worse. It will get worse and worse and worse until you guys out there all start picking up your torch and shining your lights. Some of you are doing it. I know. Some of you are on mission. You know what you want. You know what you're doing. You're getting to work and getting there. And oh, thank God that you are there. Because let me tell you, I would not want to have to do this alone.
Yes, and this is where too we could bring in these little things that you can do, random acts of kindness. I've said that so many times, but those kinds of things actually matter.
They do. And find your balance. And when you're feeling stressed out, when you're feeling scared, and when you're feeling angry and all of those negative emotions are pulling on you, go into that center, go into that core, connect as much as you can. And if you can't get it, don't worry about it. Just make a determination not to act out of anger, not to act out of fear, not to let yourself be stampeded and manipulated into something that'll kill you or others. Because you can't fight if you're dead. And you can't fight if you're in jail.
Yeah, exactly. You can't do much of anything. Of course, one of the things about that too is that your people do have to stand up for their rights, and their rights are being trampled on right now.
Oh yes, push back. Push back,
yes.
But pick your battles. I know some people are not so happy about the fact that I put the mask on because I need to eat too.
Mhm.
But
yeah, they're making people. They're requiring that in positions that they hold, and they will fire you if you don't. And people are depending on that income. So what are you going to do? You know,
pick your battles. Just because I wear the mask doesn't mean I agree with it, and I make sure every time I put it on that I am putting out that thing, sort of like, all right, this wolf bitch will wear your collar now, but don't think you tamed me. And don't think you will get anything else out of me.
That's excellent. I like that. Yeah. And I'm only doing it because they're making me doing it, and I have to live. You know, I have to be able to pay my rent. If I can't pay my rent, what am I going to do? You know, live on the street? What can I do then? Absolutely
you try
nothing.
something else, and trust me, the wolf bitch is going to bite.
Yeah, that's good. That's one thing I'm happy that I'm retired and I do this now. I do this full time, but I don't have to wear a mask.
Yeah.
And
I'm trying to write a book. Actually, I should be finished here before the month.
Awesome.
It's not a spiritual book or anything. It's just a fantasy.
Oh, okay.
I'll be looking for a publisher. I need a way off the slush pile. But
I'm sure you'll find one. I know another thing that we could mention that's really important for people, and that is grounding.
Grounding, yeah. Just as much as that going into your core and connecting with that, that's centering, right? Mm-hmm. Grounding, which is that attachment you have to Mother Earth, to the ground, literally. Those two things in combination can help keep you rooted and help keep you sane and help keep you standing confident and strong in the middle of a freaking whirlwind. Center of the storm, right? Be the calm in the middle of the storm.
Now, would that be, so people understand this, when you're grounding, you might be walking outside barefoot on the ground. If
some people do earthing. Some people do it barefoot in the grass or on the ground or something. That's fine. You can also do it from wherever you are and just envision that. You know, I envision sort of like a taproot going down from my feet or my butt into the, you know, through the layers of concrete and air, and I'm in a high rise.
Yeah, I live on the second floor too. It's kind of hard to get to the ground. You know?
Yeah, but you don't have to be. You could just sort of stretch out and connect, and you know, there's Mother Earth. She'll help. She'll help keep you rooted and keep you from getting off balanced. And between that awareness of your core and your ground, your feet, your ground, nothing. If you got that down, nothing can knock you off balance. At least not for long. And here's the thing, you know, if you fail now and then, it's not a big deal. Just pick up and keep going on. It's like, you know, the best way, if anybody here who's ever had a diet knows this kind of stuff.
Oh my God.
It is so easy to just stop and keep stopping. If you do that, you're done. Fail, look at it, see what happened, deconstruct it, you know, do your post engagement debrief with yourself, and then just get right back on it the next day and go back to work. Even a mega fail, even a spectacular mess up isn't the end. Just get back on it and keep riding.
Yeah, that's what they always say that about horses. It bucks you off, you get back on and ride it again.
Yeah, if you give up, you'll never ride.
Don't give up. Yeah, that's very important. I'll tell you what, if I had not picked myself back up, I wouldn't be here. I can't tell you how many times I had to pick myself back up. So, yeah, I can definitely relate to that. Maybe it might be desirable for people to, we could talk a little bit about 4D life, how that might be different, or what.
Well, I know people always were hungry to hear about that. I'll say one thing. The farther you get away from Earth, the more malleable life is in general. And when I talk about malleable, I mean your ability to exert your will on your environment increases. And it should have been like that here too. What we think of as 3D life here on Earth is not the same as 3D life on other planets. Like if you were to go to Altair, they'd be physical, they'd be 3D, they'd be Their interactions with the world would be modulated through biochemical reactions, just like we are. But they'd have a lot more. They have a lot more control over their world. They can exert their will over their world a lot easier. You know, things like what we would consider to be powers, magic powers, psychic powers, things like that. They're common. Everybody has them.
Those kinds of things were suppressed or were told that, you know, by religions that that's bad voodoo or.
Yeah. Not only that, but there's a system in place on this planet to take our power and use that to collectively enforce this reality against us.
Well, that's pretty amazing. Could you elaborate on that a little more?
Yeah, it is something that wasn't here to begin with, which is why all of our ancient legends involve plenty of magic and strange supernatural stuff, which scholars now believe was just, you know, magical thinking from primitive minds. It wasn't. Those things were real.
Yeah, they make it anything magic is a bunch of, you know, is again bad
Superstition,
juju.
Yeah. But let me tell you, all those wonders and miracles and magic and powers and strange abilities that exist in universally in humanity's ancient myths, those things, they've been twisted up a little through time. But yeah, those were real. Somewhere around 2,000 years ago, this system was slowly sort of slid into place, and slowly, it didn't happen overnight, slowly over about a period of 500 years, went from what everybody else was, what all the legends spoke about, to kind of this ultra dense, ultra mundane existence. And it did it by stealing our abilities, kind of mushing them all together in a collective, and then using that collective energy to project onto us a static reality which we couldn't change directly. And there's a few things that can get through. Anybody who has psychic abilities, there's some of those can leak through, some of those make it through the veil. That's what it's generally called, the veil. Or the matrix. The matrix and the veil are related systems that are involved in sort of projecting and maintaining that reality editing.
Well, they say that the matrix is being dismantled.
Yes, it is.
Okay. How? I suppose you might not know how far it's dismantled. About halfway.
Oh, it's hard to say. You know, it's one of these things where until it breaks, you don't know what your progress bar is.
Oh, okay. I get that. Okay, that makes sense.
But we're starting to break. Like, we're noticing cracks. We'll put it that way, and we're aiming to be the first through the cracks, so that we can get in there before anyone else does, and that way we can make sure that nobody comes and tries to mess up our planet here. Because let me tell you, there's those who want to get in as bad as they can so that they can have their way with humanity, and I am not cool with that.
I'm not cool with that either.
I don't care if they think, oh, well, we'll do it right. We know what's best for you. No, you do not know what's best for us. No. You do not know what's best for me. Screw off with that noise.
Exactly. Boy, that, you know, that's where humanity really needs to stand up and be what they're capable of being. But
we're trying to do this get this to happen in a controlled collapse, so to speak, so that nobody gets hurt and nobody has the chance to come in and take over.
Oh, because if it all collapsed at once, that would make that easier.
It'd be a free-for-all. Some people have had visions of the timelines in which those happen. If you've ever had visions of the psychic wars, that happened there.
Oh, wow.
That can't happen. And, you know, people ask us, well, aren't you just trying to do the same thing? No. There is a difference between keeping everybody out and keeping everyone else out so that you can't get in, or so that you can get in and have your way. We're not doing it. No, it's got to come from people. We will do our best to make sure that you guys don't destroy yourselves, that we don't destroy ourselves on this planet, because I'm human too. But no, nobody is going to come in here and mess us up. We're the referees. We're not players. We're referees. And that's why when I say the gloves are off, the sword is out, and time is up, Well,
Stand
you know,
down.
the average Joe and the regular listener is probably like, what's the proof? Well, you'll see it. But the people who know, they're listening.
Yeah, and you know, people need to learn to use their intuition and their gut more than they have.
Yes.
They're always up in the mind. I want evidence. I want actual proof. I want da 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 da.
Oh, trust me, by the time this is all over, you'll sit there and look at your I want proof days and think, God, I was an idiot.
Yeah, I still see a lot of that, and I just go, oh my God, please.
No, I'm not here to give you proof. I'm here to change the world. You want proof, get in the saddle and make it.
And yeah, and do your own research too. I mean, and tell people can look things up for themselves. Read, you know, because the more you do that over time, you're able to connect the dots.
Yes.
And then your gut tunes in with you, and you're going, yeah, oh my God, that's what I thought. You know,
Understand.
that's what I felt. I guess I should say that's what I felt. That's not what I thought.
It's about learning how to interpret the senses that you've been told don't exist. Because understand that the materialist conception of reality is a psyop that was planted to make sure that you would dismiss anything that wasn't strictly materialist, and then they went and controlled all of those things that were permitted under the materialist conception of reality.
Oh, wow, that's a great way of putting that. I love that.
It doesn't mean science goes out the window. It doesn't mean evidence-based is not there. It means that understand that there is more to it than you've been told. That a great deal of what science has just plain old ignored or shut out because they had no way to conceptualize it or understand it was done so deliberately so that you would not be able to use it.
And so much of, you know, science has been compromised too by, you know, you can look at studies and evaluate methodology or evaluate the funding source and find out that it really doesn't mean what they're saying.
No, you know, peer review is held up as the gold standard of science, but peer review, published peer-reviewed studies, what you don't understand is there's a publication bias there. Yes. They choose what goes in, and they choose what gets excluded. And a lot of what goes in is just those things that support their conclusions or the conclusions that they want you to have.
And if the scientist doesn't give them the conclusions that they wanted, they can end up in jail like Judy Mikovits, or they can
be forced to retract their research.
Yes, yes. Or they'll just get a new scientist who'll give them the results they want.
Yeah.
That's people don't realize how much we've been hoodwinked, how much we've been lied to in every single area of our life.
Yep, everything. Nothing is absolutely nothing is untainted. There's poison pills and everything.
Exactly. And speaking of poison pills, I was going to go to religion on that one, but speaking of poison pills, we'll pass that for now. They're talking about poisoning our food. Have you heard that?
No, I've been a little focused on other things, so I haven't been keeping up with current events the last couple of weeks. Can you tell me more?
Well, basically, they were saying frozen foods in particular, they were planning on poisoning the food to make people sick and die, hopefully.
Well, they already are.
Well, they have been. But worse. I mean, worse, yeah. even more blatant, like actually injecting or spraying stuff on the food that may be detrimental to people. I mean, yes, we are already poisoned.
Yeah, because poisoned sick people who have been poisoned are often overweight, unhealthy, listless, unable to resist, unable to fight back, heavy with brain fog, fatigued, in pain. You can't effectively mount a resistance when the population is basically a bunch of animate zombies just trying to survive. So of course they're going to try to do that. They do the same thing with vaccines, right?
Exactly.
You know, the basic idea behind vaccination, from what I can tell, if they're using like actual killed virus without any additives is generally not a problem for most, but it's the additives. Those additives are there to kill you. They're there to make you sick. They're there to provoke autoimmune. I have an autoimmune disorder that I am pretty sure was brought on by all the routine vaccinations that I had as a
Oh,
child.
definitely. That's one of the things that I don't know if you know Judy Mikovits or not, but that's one of the things that she was trying to warn people about long ago. And Dr. Fauci had her put in jail over it.
Yeah.
Because she refused to
Dirtbag.
lie. And she was talking about the autoimmune diseases.
Yeah,
being
and
caused by the
the
vaccines.
stuff that the public anti-vaxxers and stuff like fixates on is usually a red herring. No, the elemental mercury is not the problem. The aluminum is. The aluminum.
Well, what they did is they supposedly took out the mercury in some of them, and they added aluminum in its place. Neither one of them is good. I mean,
Yeah.
I've seen mercury deteriorate neurons in a matter of seconds. But,
well, yeah, if it's methyl mercury, that's pretty much game over. But the real problem is the aluminum compounds.
And there's a
especially when you add it with the the squalene and the other adjuvants in there. A documentary that I would recommend to everyone, find your way to get your hands on this, The Age of Aluminum.
Oh, I think
that is a good one. Yeah. That is a very good documentary that I would recommend to anyone, and it will make you think twice about using all the over-the-counter medicines in your cabinet, because most of them contain aluminum.
Your deodorant.
Using aluminum,
using
aluminum cookware, using aluminum deodorant and antiperspirant, and just don't. It's bad for you. This is once they realized exactly how powerful a toxin aluminum was, they put it in everything.
Yeah, and it tends to accumulate in the brain.
It does.
Yeah, and then we have glyphosate, which tends to accumulate in the bones, and it substitutes for glycine, which causes all kinds of joint and cartilage related problems, among others.
Yeah, I'm extremely sensitive to glyphosate, and here's the thing: you think you're going to do a good job by buying organic grain. A lot of organic farmers still apply glyphosate as a pre-harvest desiccant.
That should be against the law. How can you call that organic?
I know.
That's why wheat is such a problem for people, and other grains as well, because they do that with a lot of the grains. Now, I wasn't aware that they could even do that with organic, but I've also found that I feel much better when I eliminate most grains from my diet.
Yeah, and that'd be the glyphosate. Grains are kind of not the greatest thing for human beings to eat in the first place. If you're a bird, they're fine, but the wheat doesn't want you eating its babies. I mean, that's you take a loaf of bread and you're looking at a couple 100,000 or million ground up wheat fetuses. Think the plant wants you eating that? Yeah. It's the grass family has found ways to discourage mammals from eating its babies. It's fine with mammals eating its leaves and stuff, but it has discouraged mammals from eating its babies by adding things like phytates and lectins and things that are that attach to your opioid receptors and stuff and make you sick. There's lots of research out there you can read about it. Wheat belly was one of the first. There's been more since.
And Dr. Stephanie Seneff and Anthony Samsel, they're both experts on glyphosate. And there's also a test out there for people, if they're interested, where they can test their urine and find out how much glyphosate, how bad it is. And then the other thing, I don't know if they've done any studies at this point, but there was a show that I had on fifth phase water, which is rather unique. And one of the things that they found out with that, not only is it the most ideal water for hydration, it also helps to detox people.
Oh yeah,
And
structured water is really, really cool.
yeah, this
And
isn't structured. This is different. This is
yeah,
actually fifth phase water. Yeah.
I
Rob,
don't know much about that, but I
okay.
do know that you can cause the water you're drinking to structure and organize through meditation and focusing on it.
Oh, that's
We
another thing.
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, anyway, the other thing that they found out with this water, just to elaborate on a little more, is that they actually found that it was helping the body to release radiation.
Yeah.
So what you drink is really important, and we forget about, and I've thought about this myself. You think, well, I filter my water and I make sure I don't drink any fluoride or whatever, but then you go to a restaurant, or then you buy some orange juice, or then you get different things and you're still getting it and you're not even
Yeah.
thinking about it.
It's one of those things where you can't really do 100% elimination. So do
Exactly.
your best.
Exactly. Exactly. Just like people who argue, well, why should I pay so much for organic food? It's it's not perfect either. They found that this has, that there's certain things that they can use on it, or this, that, or the other thing. I said, it's a matter of good, better, and best. I mean, we can only do so much.
Yep.
If you can grow your own food, you know exactly what's on it. But if you're not in a position where you can do that, because I'm not.
Well, there's no perfect food anywhere on this planet unless you're growing it in a hydroponics lab with perfectly produced nutrients, because it's even like they're spraying it from the sky, right?
Yeah,
There's crap in
how do you avoid
everything.
it? Yeah,
Yeah. So
exactly.
do your best. If it's not the absolute best you can get, then as long as it's good enough and as long as it's better, do what you have access to. I know we got like college kids and people on tight budgets who are listening. Make the
Yeah.
best choices you can within the reach you have to be as healthy as you can, and don't stress over the rest of it.
And there is a list. They used to call it the Dirty Dozen, and I think it's got a new name, or the Clean 15, or something like that. Anyway, it gives you lists of foods which are the lowest in pesticides and issues like that. So there are some answers out there, but you got to do some searching, do some looking, and you'll find these things out. So that's something to look up, the Clean 15. And so if you can't afford the organic, then you can look which foods are the least contaminated, because I'm
Yeah.
all contaminated. And
Yeah.
back on aluminum, I'd like to say real quick here, we were getting rained aluminum on us from the skies.
Yeah. Well, they found out how effective it is as a neurotoxin and as a disease agonist and all kinds of stuff, right? Like, so, yeah, they hate us. They want to make us suffer. They feed off that. So
It's so
anything
sick.
to close the net.
Mhm. Yeah, that's why the trees are burning so much too, because of all the aluminum oxide that's fallen on them as a result
Yeah,
too.
it causes the leaves on the outside to go yellow while the inside is still green.
Yeah. And another thing that I don't know if people realize this, but I'm going to put it out there too, while we're talking about all this contamination or pollution in the body. It's one of the reasons why some people have real difficulty losing weight. Your body's actually trying to protect you, but it's a delusional type, because you store
Yeah,
everything in your fat tissues. And
I
so
know I
you're,
have problems with that, and it's because I have, decades of a toxic load that I didn't even know about till I was 30.
yeah, and you have to. I always tell people you have to detox daily, in any way you can. If it's just a tea, if it's that's why I like this water. But it's not easy.
Yeah,
Um,
we have a Berkey. We don't have a PF2
I
filter.
got
I
a
can't.
Berkey too. I got a
I
Berkey.
can't afford to keep the PF2 filter on it. But
Yeah.
I've had the same Berkey here since about 2013. It's a great
Okay.
it's a great unit.
It
Some of you
is.
guys who are remembering might remember 2013. I was in Calgary and we had the floods there. We had record amounts of rain in a really short time in the June floods, and after that I decided, okay, yeah, get the Berkey, right? And let me tell you, it's great because I can't stand the taste of the water out here. It's
Yeah,
so chlorinated and it's extremely mineral
it
heavy. And the nice
is.
thing about the Berkey is it filters out anything bigger than a calcium ion. So
Yes.
you still get calcium in it, so it's not completely
Void. It's
distilled, and it won't pull the minerals out of you like absolute distilled water will.
mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And yeah, if you're living in a place where they fluoridate, you can get the PF2 filters too. There's others that do a good job. Berkey's the one I've used for a
Same
decade, and
here.
it's
I have too. I think it's one of the best.
oh yeah,
There may be something else out there that I haven't heard of, but it's one of the best.
it's
And that's
worth
it.
it.
Yeah.
I paid, I think, $300 for my unit and 2 elements, and we're getting to the point where after about 7 years, I'm thinking, maybe I should get another 2 elements, but it's still,
Yeah.
it still filters enough for 2 people and a cat. So
Yeah, and they say that you can take a mild abrasive thing
oh yeah, Scotch Brite. Let's just rub it every now and then when
Yeah.
it slows down. Sometimes when I'm out working or out of the house for a while, my partner isn't so good about keeping it topped up, and if the elements dry out, you have to reprime them. So I'll come home and it won't be filtering, and I'll just dump it. I'll wash out the tub and then just reprime the elements and rub them real good with Scotch Brite, and then they filter just great.
Yeah, that's what I do. When you're in a pinch and you don't have the money to buy new ones because
they're $100, yeah.
$100. Yeah. So there are ways of working with things as best you can anyway.
If you have municipal water or good well water, then you won't need to keep them, you won't have to worry with good priming and scrubbing every now and then. They'll run for 10 years or more. Mm-hmm. Mine are 7 years old, and they still filter at a pretty good clip, at least when they don't have air bubbles in them. If they have air bubbles in them, then time to reprime.
Yeah. I had mine for quite a few years too, and I did get a new set, but that was several months ago, when things were a little better. But anyway, moving right along, what have they done anything that you're aware of? Has Dulce base been cleaned out?
I don't know the current status on the bases.
Okay.
About 10 years ago, well, when we first went live and started talking, I think that was 2012. There was a lot of talk about bases, and the Andromedans and the Galactic Federation of Planets were saying that they were doing bases, and we were doing some bases too, and we kind of trusted that they'd get things done. Mm-hmm. And I don't know if they did. We ended up having to do a whole lot of rework starting about 2015. And I don't know the current status on bases from here, but I do know that if there is a base, we know about it up there, and it is on the list. So well, they won't know. They won't know when we're going to strike. They won't know where we're going to strike. They don't know how we're going to strike. We will be there. Expect us.
Yes.
Nothing is safe.
It's time to stand down, and they're refusing to do that.
Yep.
And this comes from the creator as well, correct?
Oh, well, the creator does not decree things, but yes, how the creator operates is through us, not me and my people, but everyone, us. Mm-hmm, mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Synchronicity, you get the pull, you get the call, you get yanked into it, and you just go. And when you know you're on the right track, there is no doubt. That's the call of the creator right there, and that you won't see the hand of God stretching from the top, from the sky, squishing on the cabal or anything like that.
That's what people think sometimes.
Oh, that's what people want. That's because they've been trained to that by Abrahamic religions. That is not, you see that, it's a fake. That's some ET or some goofball up there, trying to fake it to make you do their way. No, it comes from you. It comes from you. It comes from me. We are the hand of the creator at play, and we are going to set this right, you and me and all of us who listen and hear that call and go for it.
Yes, that thank you for that, because people need that kind of encouragement. They're important. You're
tired of waiting, then stop waiting. Get in the saddle and ride.
Exactly. Oh, I'm so
I can't do this on my own.
And nobody can do it by themselves. Everybody's got to pitch in and help. There's always something you can do. And then there are people that always think they have to demand money for anything they do, and that's always an issue.
Screw that. You know what? I have been doing this with no hazard pay for 8 years while practically starving to death, never taking a cent from anyone except for one person who literally kept me alive when I was homeless.
Mm-hmm. I've been there too. I really have. I do take donations now because I need it in order to be able to keep this going, because I do believe it's helping people, because it's putting information out there. And I even feel guilty about that. But it is what it is. It certainly is not for profit by a long shot, because if I don't have a roof over my head, I can't do anything, and neither can anyone else for that matter. So
Yep.
at the same time, I that's why we have to, work for a living, or, we got this old thing, earn a living. All these things were created by the bad guys.
Yep. The people who, back during the agricultural revolution, decided that they could just take everything without ever contributing, and somehow made that a paradigm. It's not going to last. Off-world, among positive societies, the nobility is not a parasite. The nobility are the hardest working people around.
And that's the way it should be.
It should be.
So hopefully we can get to that point. And it's just like, I just saw an article just today about how Trump says none of his wife isn't paid. He's not paid. Neither is his son-in-law and somebody and his daughter. And then somebody was in there quick to criticize or what have you. It's like, and I just, what other people have ever done that? If you're so quick to criticize, who else has ever done that? Who else has ever said, I'm not going to take any of that? Nobody that I know of.
Yeah,
and
I have respect for him. I mean, yeah, sure, he's an asshole, and he's not perfect, and I don't always like what he does, but
same here.
he seems to be genuine.
Yes, he seems to actually have a genuine love for the country and humanity. And
oh yeah, if you can find someone who loves you the way that man loves the American flag, man.
Exactly. That's real, and that's important right now. Very important.
It is.
Because what happens here will affect the rest of the world.
And what I've heard is that he's working with white hats. I hope that's the case. I can't vouch for it right now. When it comes to politics right now, I will say Tanaath and the Silver Legion are politically neutral in all ways, in that we will support and work with those who are working for the best of humanity.
Yes.
In their operations, working for the best of humanity, and at the same time, their operations that are working against humanity, we will take down. So as long as you're doing the right thing, we're your friends while you're doing the right thing.
We'll back you 100%.
Stop us. Yeah, that won't stop us from sinking your crap when you're in the middle of doing the wrong thing.
Right. That's good. We need that. That's checks and balances, isn't it? Okay. Let's see. What else? Could you, some people don't know exactly what a reptoid is. Could you explain that?
So reptoids, reptilians, those are, it's a catch-all term, usually they're also called the Vlash, I've heard them referred to as, VLASH. They are typically, it's the people of Alpha Draconis, the Dracos, and the Hydra reptilians. And they are, I know in American ufology tradition, you've got the big four: the reptilians, the greys, the white guys, and the mantis people, which is an extremely, extremely narrow snapshot that doesn't capture anything. And then you have, overseas, you have the Alien book, which was written by Dante Santori out of Russia, and that has a much, much bigger who's who, but again, it's just a snapshot. It's not the whole thing. And then Santori had his little nutbag episode with his Anunnaki goddess that he worshipped, and I can't say I agree with that crap. I don't worship any goddess, and neither does the rest of the galaxy, no matter what he claims. But
what goddess was that? I'm not familiar with that.
Oh, it's in some of the books. He talks about, how ancient societies all acknowledged this mother goddess figure, and it was his goddess. And I'm like, no. Sorry, just drop my rock. I got a rock collection here, and I like it. Me and rocks. I like rocks. But yeah, the American ufology tradition basically only really dealt with the four strictly materialistic groups, the reptoids, so reptilians, the greys, the mantis dudes, and the white guys. They call them tall whites. Say they look like, like
I've seen
Nordics.
pictures.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Nordics.
They
But
eat us, I heard.
I've heard similar, and let me tell you, when I catch their asses, I kill them too. But yeah, the reptoids are, a lot of people think that they're the architects. No, they're the mall cops.
They're the what?
Mall cops. Paul Bart.
Okay.
They're Paul Bart, keeping us, who are the shopping mall product, from running off or being shoplifted by somebody who isn't on their authorized list.
Wow. Okay. That's interesting. What about human hybrids? How
Human
much of that
hybrids.
are we dealing with?
There's some out there. There's one group that's called the Maitre. I think that's how you say it. It
Mhm.
looks like, Maitre d', the guy who seats you at the fancy restaurant, but they are not nice. They look like particularly awful greys, and anybody who's seen, there's a picture floating around on the internet of these dudes, and if you've ever seen it, it just sort of hits you on a visceral level, like, ugh, get the heck away from me.
Creepy.
Yeah, but these are nasty pieces of crap that run around anywhere they go. They make hybrids with the local population, and they use them as a way to sort of Trojan horse their way in and take over. And they've tried to mess around here, and I don't think they've been particularly successful. They're one of many, many groups trying to mess around here. Many. One of the advantages of having so many groups trying to mess around here is that nobody really gains ascendancy over anyone else. But at the same time, what it means is that humanity has been messed with more than any other species in this
my
galaxy,
God, yes.
if not in this universe. And it has got to stop. But yeah, there are hybrid programs. Hybrid programs are one way for ETs to sort of get a Trojan horse in.
Mm-hmm.
And we're saying no.
Good.
Just
Good.
no.
Okay. I just lost my train of thought. There was something else I was going to ask on that line, and it just went right off. Anyway.
If you are a hybrid out there, if you're listening to this and you're thinking, but I'm a hybrid, I know I'm a hybrid, don't worry. You have choice too. You do not have to be what your parents, if you can call them that, made you to be. Be you. Fight for this. Fight for freedom, your own, your neighbors, everyone here. You are not biologically determined. You're a free soul, just like me. Stand up and say something.
Yeah, people are so afraid of authority. We've been,
There is no
indoctrinated.
authority.
I know, but well, they'll put me in jail.
There was some turd in the online occult community that I ran into who started threatening me with cosmic bureaucracy.
Cosmic bureaucracy? Oh, that's interesting.
I'm like, oh no, not the council. Whatever shall I do?
I got to answer to somebody? Are you kidding me? On the astral level?
I answer to the creator, and the creator doesn't do that crap.
Wow.
I ain't here to play the game. I am the ref.
Alrighty then. That's what people need to hear. But they need to become the same thing.
Yes. It's not just me. You got to do it. Stop waiting. Step up.
Yeah, step up. That's a good one.
If I got to do this alone, they're going to be spankings.
That's a good one. I like that. Okay, and then it's going to take 10 times longer.
Yeah. You think it's been long enough? Sure isn't, because I wasn't trying hard. What about the rest of you?
Exactly.
Belly up to the bar.
Stand up and be counted. We need it, and we need help, and we need more people on board.
Yeah, and it's gonna get worse because people aren't stepping up.
All hands on deck. It'll get
as worse as it has to until people finally step up and do it intelligently.
And they need to unite
dead, you're
too.
No good in the jail.
Yeah, they need to unite too.
Yes.
Because if they would, go ahead.
The LGBT bloc has been doing so much damage. The BLM burn, loot, murder groups have been doing so much damage with all this divisive bullshit. I'll use the word.
Yeah,
Manure.
that's exactly what it
Stinking,
is.
reeking manure.
It's bullshit. You can say it. I don't care.
It doesn't matter if your neighbor's gay. It doesn't matter if your neighbor's not the same color than you. He's human. Doesn't matter if he's got an Audi and wants an innie. He's human. Find ways to connect. You got more in common than you think you do. I spend a lot of time out in rural Alberta with old redneck friends of mine. Me and my partner, who is a post-operative transsexual who is not part of the block. Neither of us are. And let me tell you, they were a little uncomfortable with us at first, but once they started to realize that we're just decent human beings like the rest of them, we're part of the community. They love us. Love your neighbor.
The way it should be. We're all connected.
Yes. And if you are one of these people who are like me, LGBT, stop making it the central focus of your identity.
Thank you. Thank you.
I got gray eyes. That doesn't make me, a gray-eyed sexual. It's just a thing. Get over it.
Exactly. And yeah, it's just like the color. Get over it.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter. We all bleed the same color.
Oh, yeah. We're more alike than we are different.
Exactly. And that's where people need to find the commonalities between each other so that they can
find the 80% you share. Don't sweat over the 20% you don't, right?
Exactly.
This divisive crap's been done to us to keep us divide and conquer, right? Make it so we can't fight back.
Exactly. That is so true and so important. Could you tell us a little more about telepathy?
So telepathy, everybody thinks of it as something that you can hear clear as a bell in your head, like talking on the phone or listen to music. No, it hasn't been the case for me.
Okay.
Telepathy is one of those things where you sort of have to learn to interpret the energies and the messages that are coming through. In my case, I had grounding from about 16 years old in how to do it. I ran with some pretty interesting people when I was a teenager. And was doing it most of my life. So telling people, how to do it after I've been doing this, like breathing for more than 20 years, it's
tricky,
hard for me to do. But learn to sense around you. You have a field outside of your body that extends quite a bit, and you can learn to pick up information from that field. And if you can learn to sense and interpret the information that's coming in from that field, you can learn telepathy. And telepathy with other humans, unless you have specific genetic differences, specific genetic things turned on, or you're a hybrid or somebody who has had, some manipulation, maybe in that regard, most of us have a hard time with accurate telepathy with other humans, but we can pick up on each other's wavelengths. You ever been out with a friend and you're saying the exact same thing and finishing each other's sentences? And yeah, that's a form of telepathy, when you're so in tune with each other's fields that you're picking up stuff. My friends and I, we don't have telepathy with words with each other, but we can send and receive emotions and messages and ideas. And here's another thing, is it's not going to be word for word. When I do telepathy, I receive an idea or a message, and my brain assembles it into language I can understand. If I don't have a conceptual framework for the message that's coming in, I just kind of blank and I'm like, what? And then whoever's trying to communicate with me sort of has to walk me through the process until I have a conceptual framework.
It kind of reminds me, something that I think happens to a lot of people, and they don't think twice about it, but it's actually a form of it. And that is when you're thinking about somebody and then all of a sudden they call.
Yeah, that's a form of telepathy.
Yeah. And or like you said, finishing sentences. And it seems like that type of thing happens very easily with somebody that you're intimately know.
Oh yeah. And the more you love someone and they love you, and the more you've got that mutual connection, even if it's platonic, the more you're going to have that. We call this resonance in my group. Resonance. You build resonance with people you care about and people you spend time with. Resonance can fade if you go a long time without sort of keeping the fire going, right? keeping that
Yes.
communication going, your
Yes.
resonance can fade. But the more you keep it together, the more you spend time with each other. If you're talking about intimate relations, the more you are intimate, the greater your resonance, the more in tune you are with each other, and the easier it is to communicate, the more you're sensing of each other, the more it is that you're able to get and able to send. And yeah, it can be pretty powerful. I have resonance with my teammates because we're really, really close, and yeah, we know when something's wrong.
Yeah, I feel like I have that too with people that I know and I'm close to. I can, yeah, it is a sensing.
Yeah, it is. And you can develop it with entities, but I would say to people who are really, really craving contact, be careful. There are more assholes out there than there are good guys. And, you know, at the beginning of things, I was coming sort of from the New Age framework, thinking the commonly held New Age assumptions about safety and friendliness and good guys and bad guys were true. I've learned the hard way over the years. It's not as true as I thought it was.
Yeah, they
Your
got
best
hoodwinked too.
defense, yeah, your best defense is a strong and healthy skepticism of anyone and anything you meet out there, and a focus on your own safety. Don't be cowed, don't be star-eyed, don't be wowed by the fact that you're getting attention, because they will use that against you ruthlessly. They will manipulate you any way they can. Now, I've been pretty good. I'm one of the reasons why I'm still Silver Legion is because they remain the one group who has never tried, that I have never caught, and who has always, always, always either kept their promises or accounted for the reason why it couldn't, and admitted when they made mistakes. They have never tried to manipulate me, and that's one of the reasons why I am still Silver Legion.
That's a big one. When somebody's trying to manipulate you, you need to be able to recognize it.
Yeah, I will say the others all tried.
Yeah.
So be careful.
But
Don't be so hungry for experiences that you invite something in that is going to use you and abuse you and make your life worse.
Yeah. But now here we come. With that being said, we also still need to unite, you know.
We
and
do.
Right now we have because of this COVID thing and so on being carried out, people are afraid of each other, you know, like,
Oh, yeah.
I might catch something from you, you know, and
It's
so
so
they're
awful.
really playing on
And
that
that's
fear.
one of the things they did, you know, the social distance. Most person's personal field, your bioelectric field that you use as a sensor to feel and touch and experience the world without even realizing it, most people's personal fields are about 4 to 6 feet.
Yeah.
What does all this social distancing accomplish? It keeps us divided.
Yes, exactly. It definitely takes us off the heart resonance field of each other.
Yeah.
Even though I've been told that our field, and this was the first time I've ever heard this, but when you look at, you know, energy vampire, so to speak, our field can extend up to 25 feet out.
Depends on the person, but yes, you have shells. It's kind of like an electron orbit around a molecule. You'll have shells. Your first shell is about, you know, maybe a centimeter or two off your skin.
Mm-hmm.
Then your second shell usually goes, and like I'm saying, for most people who have done a lot of key work and energy work sometimes have bigger shells.
Yeah.
Sometimes I've met people who have absolutely immense shells, like we're talking half a kilometer, third of a mile for the Americans.
Wow.
You
Wow.
know, huge, right? But you know, you got your first shell, which is about a centimeter or two, up to an inch usually. And then you have your second shell, which goes about half a foot to a foot. And then you have your third shell, which goes out to about the 2 meter, 2 yard mark, you know, the social distance mark.
Mm-hmm.
And then you have, you know, your other shells, which keep on going out. Most people have about 5.
Wow.
Some have more.
And then, you know, not only do you have then you have the mask thing, and I hate to tell you, but I want to see your face. I want to see your smile.
I might send you a picture, but like I still gotta work, and I don't need stalkers and people showing up, right?
Oh, I don't mean you.
We're calling, yeah.
I don't mean you personally. That's not what I was talking about. I mean out when we're out and people have their masks on.
Yes, the masks. It's, You can learn how to smile with your eyes, and I've been doing it,
Yes.
and people
Yes.
respond, and I can see them smiling back, right?
Yes, I can tell when somebody's smiling behind their mask, but
Yeah.
one of the things for me is I'm a little hard of hearing, and I like to see the lips because it helps make sure I'm hearing
Yeah,
them
and
correctly.
I've got a little bit of hearing damage, and yeah, the masks make it hard for
And
me
then
to understand.
and I can't understand what somebody's saying behind the mask, I swear, because there's certain syllables that are difficult to hear as it is.
Yeah, there's an effect. Anybody who's taken language teach instruction or linguistics knows this effect. I can't remember what it's called offhand, but if you say ba ba or ga ga, and you put the ga soundtrack overlaid on the ba lips, you'll hear ba, and vice versa.
Oh, that's interesting. But yeah, I have a heck of a time. I really struggle with it at times. But anyway, uh, so and I do miss. I mean, it sounds crazy, but I miss seeing people's faces and their smile and their. I mean, it's so much a part of them that it's.
Yeah, that separation, that division, that fear of your fellow person as a potential source of danger to you, that's all deliberate. It's all part of that divide and conquer strategy, right?
And none of it's based on any sound science of any kind.
No, it's all arbitrary. It's all bullshit.
Yep.
Horse hockey.
Yeah, I kind of picked that up from Drake. I would say horse hockey, but sometimes I just still say bullshit.
I still love my brother. He's a good man.
Yes, he is. He's a sweetheart. We can go back and forth sometimes. It's hilarious. Hold on. But anyway, it's all good. Let's see. What about are the Anunnaki pretty well off the planet?
The Anunnaki aren't really a problem. I know everybody likes to obsess over them in Nibiru. No, it's not Nibiru. It's one of our biospheres, one of the allied biospheres. Stop sweating over it. Nibiru is not coming. I'm sorry to disappoint you. Nibiru is not coming. I repeat.
That's good. I'm glad you said that because I gave up on that one. I mean,
the Anunnaki are mostly a done concern. They did their damage. They got pushed out. I know a little bit of the ancient history. The Anunnaki, there was a group here that came and basically genetically engineered the people who already existed here. Nobody made humanity. They took the people who already existed here and they changed them. They made it so that the natural telepathy that everybody had was not there anymore. That was the Tower of that was the Tower of Babel legend. That's how that came to us. The dividing of humanity and the destruction of our telepathy in an allegory of setting confusion in tongues, right? They destroyed our telepathy. They destroyed our lifespan, knocked us from about 1,500 to 2,000 years to 60 to 100, and they introduced genetic programming that would affect our cognition, so that we would bind very, very hard to religious ideas and be willing to fight and kill each other over it.
And that's exactly what happens. Most battles are religious related.
Yeah, and it's stuff, anything that sort of gets instilled into you in that age from about 4 years old to about 12 years old. That's, unless you're able to consciously deprogram yourself through a great deal of effort, it's baked in there, and you're gonna scrap tooth and nail and beat others up who go against that idea that you got baked into at that age. And that was the Anunnaki who did it. And then, the ones who did it did the damage, and then they brought others in and told them, oh, hey, look, we have a bunch of talking animals here. Talking animals who can follow simple instructions, but they're still animals, is what they told their fellows. That humans
they were talking about humans, right?
Yeah. And then they brought them in, and these people came in, and they're like, well, they're talking animals. Okay, we can do what we want with these talking animals. They'll do what we want, and they're animals, who cares, right? They did not exactly have the same idea of animal rights that we might. But even then, really? They didn't believe that. They didn't understand that human beings weren't talking animals. We were intelligent, higher conscious beings that had been manipulated with. And actually, when some of them began to figure it out, things went really, really bad with the Anunnaki, because a faction developed who was like, no, this is not right. We got to stop this. And they actually backed the human rebels, and some of them got recorded in our history as gods.
Oh.
Gods that were friendly to humanity. And there was a war, and the Anunnaki were kicked out, and the people who had been friendly to the rebels got killed and nuked. There is a city, the ruins of a place in the Gobi Desert that is still radioactive, and they thought, no, it must have been nuked like 14,000 years ago, or something like that. That was one of the Anunnaki rebel strongholds, and actually a friend of mine was nuked there.
Ooh.
And he's had a heck of a time putting himself back together, and he actually forms the basis of the Isis and Osiris myths, because his wife searched all over to find bits of him to bring him back together. And yeah, but yeah, the Anunnaki, they weren't all bad, they weren't all good, but there were bad ones that messed with us, and there were some that fought on our side, and they were punished by the rest for that. And eventually humanity ran them off, and they're not coming back. They're a done deal. They're not what they were.
Well,
So while we've been sitting here, poring over ancient accounts, they're coming back, we all forgot that, well, guess what? There's other people out there, and the Anunnaki aren't the only concerned, and they kind of got their assholes stomped in.
What about the status of mind control on the planet right now as we speak?
Oh, well, that's a tough one. We've been trying to hit the frequencies, and we get some success now and then, but it's a bit of an arms race. You could tell people are still controlled. I mean, look at them screaming at the election of Donald Trump, or out there marching in the streets. They're still mind controlled, but I think it's not as widespread and not as well uptaken as people would think. And you know what? The chemical assault makes one more susceptible to mind control. And if I could, use a word that some might find offensive, and if you do, I'm sorry, deal with it. Soy boys. Soy face. It's not just soy that's contributing to that, it's the entire chemical load. But you look at those gaping puppies with that offensive face they make, that dazzle-eyed thing with the wide open mouth and the googly eyes, and yeah, that's chemical assault at work. Yes. They don't have the capacity to really critically examine what's going on, because that part of their brains has been delinked, and maybe they can detox out of it, I hope. But yeah, there's people who are a little more susceptible to mind control than others, and I'm finding people who live out in the country, who have cleaner diets, who spend a little more time and a little more care taking care of themselves, don't develop that. They're more resistant. They're able to look at what's going on and say, something ain't right.
The other thing that I like to remind people about too is that some of us that are older have a much stronger foundation, because we weren't subjected to as much of this crap as the younger generation has.
It really started to pick up in the 1980s and 90s, and by the 2000s it was in everyone. That's why the current generation is all these googly-eyed, gaping soy faces.
And seem to have, and then in the education system, they weren't getting any real.
No, and it was all fifis, feelings. Yeah, your feelings are important, but you got to learn how to disregard them and keep going and deal with things. I had my feelings hurt all the time as a kid.
Oh, so did I.
It made me stronger.
You know what they said to me? They said, my parents used to say to me, if somebody looks at you cross-eyed, you start crying.
Yeah, I was a sensitive little bugger.
So I was like that too. I'm very sensitive. So,
and I think actually that this chemical assault has made it so that some of these people are literally cognitively incapable of understanding that their feelings don't matter.
That's what concerns me. And people will call me bleeding heart, because some of these people that are doing this destruction, and I've seen some of the pictures of them that have been arrested, and there are people that, they want to say, well, put them in, prison for life, or execute them, or just shoot them, and that kind of thing. And I'm going, would you feel that way if you knew that they were programmed to do what they're doing?
Yeah, I pity them.
I do
But
too.
it's like, if they had a
But at the
zombie
same time,
disease, I'd still defend myself,
oh, of course, it's
Even if I
different.
was looking for
Yeah,
a cure for all of them, I'd still defend myself and pop the zombies, right?
and you'd have to.
You have to. I pity them. I'm doing what I can to change things so that these people can have a chance to heal. But I am not going to stop what I am doing because their feelings are
Exactly.
hurt.
Exactly.
I'm also
Exactly.
not going to fight them stupidly. I'm going to fight them in ways that work. Fight with tools, like Flowbot says. Fight with tools. Don't
Such
just...
as, give people examples. What do you mean?
Such as, instead of going off on them, find ways to connect and bring them to your side. Go in the ways that they can understand. Don't just, grab your gun and chase them off your lawn, right? Unless they are literally there, like that poor
To do
couple
damage.
in
Yeah.
where I think it was St. Louis.
Yeah. Yeah.
Find ways to connect, find ways to become mentors to these people, because they don't
have no
don't have it.
direction.
Yeah,
They don't
their
even
direction
understand.
was a bunch of communist-trained teachers who didn't even know that they were part of a psyop.
Exactly.
Who
That's
meant
exactly
well.
right. Yeah. Yeah. They don't, yeah. I don't think they even comprehend what they're supporting by
No, they
what they're
don't.
doing.
They don't. If they did, they wouldn't have done it. It was
Yeah.
all in the name of beautiful things, right? All
Yeah.
in the name of inclusion and all this stuff, and
Yeah.
no, find ways to connect with them. Find ways to get them to realize that change is necessary. Not, if you attack them, anything you put on the defensive is going to harden against you. It's just like that.
Yep. That's how it works.
Find a way in on their terms and bring them around. You can do it.
It's just like I've noticed with some people, if they so much as hear the word Trump, they go into what I now
Trump
have.
derangement syndrome. Yes, it's
Exactly.
hilarious. I've
Yes.
caught examples of it.
It's like, oh my God.
You know how I know that Trump is against vaccines? Because he's promoting them, and he knows that the moment he promotes them, all of a sudden it's bad.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, he uses some reverse psychology.
He's strategic about this stuff. He knows Trump derangement is a thing.
You can't tell me that's not mind control either.
That is mind control.
Yeah, and they don't even know it. That's the sad part of it. But I don't know. Maybe some things help to make people more aware and make them think. If there's any way you can make them really think about what they're doing, and get to their heart.
Find a way in. Take the back door. Go with kindness. How do you tame a wild animal? If you chase them, they're going to run away or attack you.
Exactly.
Bring them to you.
You know what? That's why training with there's this equine therapy that are taking certain people and putting them on a farm out in a rural area, or even to have to work with a horse. You're going to have to work very slow.
Yeah, because horses are shy. They're prey animals, and they know it.
Yes, and so you have to work with them. It takes time, unless they're already trained or something like that. But I'm talking about one that isn't and haven't been. And but what a wonderful gift you get when they finally feel like they can trust you.
Yeah, think of these people, the soy boys out there. Think of them as shy horses that don't know how to act, and bring them in with kindness. Train them with kindness. Get them coming to you. If you harden up and go after them, they're going to harden up and go after you.
Yeah. Just run and you'll never get anywhere.
Yeah. Nobody learns on a defensive footing. Nobody grows when they're pushed on a defensive.
True. Very true. So there are so many ways that people can do things too. Even if they use, uh, some people will call the written word is a sword.
Yeah, fight with tools. Whatever you got that works, whatever's yours. If your tool is a hoe in the garden, that's still a tool. If your tool
Exactly.
is a book in front in a classroom, that's still a tool. If your tool is your ATV and your fishing rod, that's a tool, right?
Mm,
Fight with tools.
yeah, that's something that's a concept too that I really liked about Ubuntu. Ubuntu.
Ubuntu, yeah.
Yeah, Michael Tellinger and what he's been trying to do and convince people where everybody works together. But again, that's a community working together.
It is, and communities are important, and that's that's one thing the rural folk have that the urbanites don't really understand is the importance of community. In urban situations, you're forced into a neighborhood where you don't know anyone and it's dangerous.
Yeah,
Right? Knowing
yeah,
other people is dangerous
that's how
because you
it's
never know what
perceived.
they're going to do. And they have deliberately with these okay, so this is going to be one that's got to be approached from a couple different angles. Multiculturalism and diversity. In theory,
Mm.
not a bad thing. Actually, a really good thing.
No, it's a good
And
thing.
again,
The
yeah,
melting pot.
you come from and that's it, the melting pot, not this, I'm going to be a hyphenated American or I'm going to be a hyphenated Canadian.
Yeah, I know
Value your
that's.
ancestors, value your ancestors and the good things from your culture. But wherever you are, learn to become that.
Yeah, it's kind of like, everybody, it's like African American. Are you
Yeah.
American or are you African? Which is it? Make up
Yeah.
your mind. Just like,
Yeah.
I don't know
Find the
how I would do
things.
mine because I'd have 4 different ones.
Yeah, me too. If somebody told me to go back to where I came from, I'd be like, okay, which part am I sending where? This, I'm mixed.
Same here. I call myself a mongrel, I guess.
Yeah, and almost no human civilization has ever been pure. Humanity moved around, and yeah, what happened here 300, 500 years ago was unfair, and there are still unfair things that linger to this day because of it. And I'm sorry about that. That wasn't me.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe some of my ancestors, but not even all of my ancestors. None of my ancestors ever owned slaves. Don't you put that on me. We
Same
were the
here.
first people on the planet to ban slavery.
Yeah, none of my people did to here. They weren't even here long enough to have
Yeah, heck,
had
some of
slaves.
my people were slaves.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
Black
same
people
here.
weren't the only slaves.
My people were slaves too. And they don't realize that I think just about every race has been enslaved at one point or another
Yep,
anyway.
just about every race has had slaves. Just about every race has been slaves. There is no bloodline on this planet that is clean of sin. So you know what? We don't carry the sins of our ancestors. We only have what we build in our life and what we do now.
That is something that was also taught in religion, I believe, that we
Yep.
carry the sins of our ancestors and
Yeah, that is incorrect. I mean, in terms of there are genetic consequences to what our ancestors did that we carry now, and that's the only way in which we carry the sins of our ancestors. The only way.
yeah, from a genetic standpoint.
Mm-hmm. From a standpoint of who we are now and what we need to do, no, we're born sinless and blameless.
Yeah, just like little kids.
Mm-hmm.
They don't recognize color when they're little until an adult chastises them for playing with someone else that doesn't look the same or something like that. It's really kind of sad what people have done to each other to help divide because everybody's drank the Kool-Aid.
Yep.
And
go for unity. And
yes.
This is one thing that really pisses me off because I have listened to a few things that President Trump has said.
Mm-hmm.
And I have never ever heard him say anything racist. I've heard him say some like boneheaded, boomer stuff, but I have never heard him say anything racist. And I have never heard him say anything divisive. In fact, the words out of that man's mouth are nothing but, American rah-rah and unity.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then it hits the press, and it's a a bunch of blah, 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 Donald Trump racist, blah blah blah, Donald Trump sexism. You motherfuckers, quit your lying.
Yes,
Like, honestly, we need to make it so that if you deliberately lie to the public and present it as truth, and you are a media and news organization, then there is jail time.
Yes, that's what it should be. Just like
jail
these,
time for the person who wrote it, jail time for the editor who okayed it or pushed it, and jail time for the executives who put those policies to spin that way into place.
Exactly. I'm with you on that 110%.
Yeah.
It's just like when Kaylee comes up, and I just watched a show the other day that she did, a press conference, and they were just on. They wouldn't take what she said, and they had to keep twisting it around and kept trying to argue, and it's not even. It didn't even make any sense, and it was just a way to try to trash the president.
Yeah.
At a time when we need unity. They're
Well, it's because they're child raping bastards who are fully in on the cult, and if they're not that themselves, they're covering for the ones who are.
And
the
apparently
rope
they
is
don't
coming.
know it. Good. I have such a hard time with that about what they do to children. It just went, oh my God. That
And people worship the media and entertainment.
And those are the worst ones.
Don't ever meet your heroes.
Yeah. Yeah, if you saw what they were doing, you wouldn't. I can't even watch some of their movies now.
I can't watch kids' films anymore now that I know what goes on.
I can't either. Yeah, and people that I used to think were good actors or whatever, I don't even want to see their movies ever again.
We don't watch a lot of movies. We don't have money to go to theaters, and we got rid of Netflix.
Yeah, I never had it. I don't even have a TV.
We like video games, so we have a TV.
Well, I don't do the games either, but I do. I watch YouTube, and stuff like that.
Yeah, my favorite YouTuber is actually Tim Pool. He's a little prone to panic, and I think he's a little worried about the future, and I don't blame him. He doesn't know what I do about how things can turn around and how quick they can turn around. But Tim Pool is a very clear-headed, clear-eyed commentator who he's not conservative. He calls himself a milk toast fence sitter, and he's classical liberal sort of thing, and he gives a very clear-eyed, honest review of what's going on. He's, as far as I'm concerned, he's the best darn current events source out there. And
I'll have to look him up.
Sticks, Hex, and Hammer 666 is pretty good too. But yeah, Tim Pool is probably one of the best alternative media commentators that I have seen, and he does his fact checking. If he makes a mistake, he tells you. And he's scared. He's terrified as all get out about what's going to happen, because it's one of these things where you look at it and you're thinking, like, there's no way. Don't forget grace. Grace is a thing. The Christians think they own it, but actually that is something that belongs to the Creator, and through the Creator, all of us. Grace is a thing. Be it.
The grace of the Creator, yeah. I don't know. Even though all this junk is happening, I still have a feeling that great things are coming forward.
Oh yeah, and it's funny because I keep tabs on a couple different communities and new age groups and stuff like that. I don't really participate. I just kind of lurk, and every now and then there'll be one of those posts like, anybody else feeling this? And then you get two groups. You get the ones who are like, oh yeah, something awesome's coming, and then you get the other guys who are like, no, it's terrible, it's awful. Be careful what you attach yourself to.
Exactly. The very negative scenario are the prophecies of the past and so on. So many people are attached to them, and they're not going to happen. They're not going to happen.
Prophecy is not a prediction. Prophecy is a playbook. It is an attempt to make that future reality. We make our own. We're on the invisible path, blindfolded, and we have to make it our own, and nobody else's future is going to be ours when we make our own.
And when we learn how to do that collectively in a very positive, uplifting, and
Nothing will
loving
ever
way,
stop us if we can learn that.
yes, we've got a ways to go.
We do.
But I'm all about trying to put that out there and get people to be kind, be courageous, and help each other unite.
Hmm.
So we need the Silver Legion out there too for that.
Well, we're just one part of it, you know.
Yeah.
People hope that, you know, we can come in and swoop down and make everything better, but we can't do that without you guys.
That's important. Everybody has to realize that they're important, just like anybody else. It's hard because so many people have been trained otherwise. Again, we come back to the religious programming and
Yeah, the programming to wait and let God do it. Well, how do you think God's going to do it if you don't step up to the plate?
Exactly. He's not a physical being.
Yeah.
You know?
So, he ain't going to put his thumb down and squish things like bugs. That's an alien thing.
Yeah.
And we ain't going to let them do that to you either.
Exactly. That's good. But anyway, let's see. Is there anything else that you might like to add or
No, I pretty much said my piece.
Okay. Yeah, I think we could probably wrap this up. That's why I asked you that. I've kind of run out of questions. I think we've gone through some of the most important points. I think that people.
I'd be cool doing this again sometime if people send you questions and stuff. The only thing is, like, I kind of get tired of having to repeat the kindergarten level stuff here when I'm trying to run a grad program. So,
I can
if you're still
that.
if you're still in the phase where you're wondering, is aliens even real? This ain't for you.
Exactly.
Figure it out on your own. Go on,
good. I'm glad because I'm getting to that point too. It's like, wow, if you've got a long ways to go. So
yeah, and I'm not. I can be reached if it's really important, but I am not really here for everybody's beginner questions. Yeah. I can't. The stuff that I put out at the beginning, you go look that up. Yeah, some of it's changed, but it's a good starting point. Find it out, figure it out.
And so, but I would love to do this again, and
Absolutely.
Maybe when it's the time's right, within maybe a couple of weeks.
And I am 100% still on task, and just because I've been quiet doesn't mean I've been not busy. I've been very busy.
Good.
Very busy.
We love and appreciate you for what you do.
Oh, thanks, Gail. That's so cute. Thank you.
You're welcome. And thank you for being my guest and being here and explaining these things. And I hope it helps people. That's
me too. Purpose. Yeah. Remember, it ain't me you're waiting on. It's you.
Yes. Thanks for bringing that up. We need you. We need everybody on board. All hands on deck.
Get to it. You tired of waiting? Buckle up.
There we go. Okay. Thanks, Tanaath. We'll see you again soon.
Hello, everyone. This is Gail of Gaia. I'm the founder and producer of Free Range. I do my best to bring you the best in guests and information that's very relevant to you today. I'm making this short little clip today in order to ask you to please contribute to the channel. I'm not monetized by YouTube. I don't sell any products, and I don't have Patreon. So I depend upon your contributions. And I know everyone's having a tough time, but even a small amount from a number of people would help tremendously. So thank you. Please contribute. And again, I thank you from the bottom of my heart. I do need your help. Thank you.